Jake grew up in a small, worn-down neighborhood in the USA. His family didn't have much, and every day was a struggle to make ends meet. From an early age, Jake noticed the stark difference between those who had wealth and those who didn't. He saw people wasting money on unnecessary luxuries, while his own family barely managed to pay bills. Most kids his age dreamed of toys or games, but Jake dreamed of financial freedom. He knew that if he wanted to change his life, he had to rely on one thing: his mind. Even with almost nothing in his pocket, Jake decided to start saving. He didn't wait for a big opportunity, he started small. Every dollar mattered. He skipped small treats, walked instead of taking the bus, and took on odd jobs whenever he could. At first, the progress was slow. The numbers in his savings notebook were tiny. But over time, each saved dollar taught him discipline, patience, and the value of delayed gratification. Jake quickly realized that saving alone wasn't enough. Money could grow only when combined with creativity and intelligence. He began noticing gaps in his community, services people needed but didn't have time or skill to do themselves. He offered tutoring online for local students, helped neighbors fix their computers, and created small digital content for local businesses. Each small job taught him a new skill, a new way to solve problems, and slowly his income started growing. He invested in himself more than anything else. Every penny earned went partly into learning. Jake explored online courses about entrepreneurship, marketing, coding, and personal development. He understood that knowledge was the key to long-term wealth, and that learning today would pay him exponentially in the future. One day, a local business owner who had seen Jake's work online offered him a bigger project. It paid more than anything Jake had earned before. Excited but careful, he reinvested the earnings into better equipment, learning materials, and expanding his online presence. This was Jake's first breakthrough, and it proved to him that strategic action combined with consistent effort could change his life. Jake didn't stop there. He learned to systemize his work, outsourcing smaller tasks and focusing on high-value activities. His small ventures started multiplying, and gradually he built multiple streams of income. People who had once doubted him began noticing his growth, but Jake remained focused. For him, wealth was not just about money, it was about freedom, security, and the ability to create opportunities for himself and others. He maintained a mindset that most people never understand. Jake treated money as a tool, not a goal. He visualized success daily, stayed disciplined in his saving and spending, and continued learning relentlessly. He understood that consistent effort, combined with intelligent thinking, always wins over luck or shortcuts. As Jake's small ventures grew, he realized that his time was limited. There were only so many hours in a day, and working alone would always cap his income. So he began thinking strategically. He automated repetitive tasks, used online tools to manage his work, and eventually started outsourcing minor assignments to others. This allowed him to focus on ideas that generated higher returns. Every challenge Jake faced became a lesson. When a project failed, he analyzed what went wrong and adjusted his approach. When an opportunity seemed risky, he calculated the odds, studied successful people who had faced similar situations, and made informed decisions. Slowly but surely, his financial knowledge deepened, and his confidence soared. Jake also learned the importance of networking. He reached out to mentors, joined online communities, and shared his journey openly. These connections opened doors that he had never imagined. A freelance client in another state offered him a consulting project, another recommended him for a small business marketing campaign, and soon, his reputation as a young, reliable, and innovative thinker started spreading. By now, Jake had built a routine that balanced work, learning, and personal growth. He invested not just money, but also his energy into understanding markets, trends, and consumer needs. He understood that wealth is not about quick money. It's about creating systems, building relationships, and continuously improving skills. Even when he started earning significant income, Jake stayed humble. He never forgot the struggles of his past. Instead of spending recklessly, he reinvested in himself and his ventures. He diversified his income streams, some from digital services, some from small investments, and some from innovative AI-based tools he had learned to use. Each new stream made him more resilient and independent. Jake's friends and family began to notice the transformation. The boy who once worried about every penny had now become a man who made strategic decisions daily. He inspired others in his community to take control of their finances and to think creatively about earning. His journey showed that intelligence, discipline, and persistence can turn even the smallest beginnings into extraordinary outcomes. Through all this, Jake's mindset remained his most powerful tool. He embraced failures as lessons, stayed patient, and consistently visualized his goals. He avoided distractions and focused on high-value work that compounded over time. Slowly, his reputation, wealth, and influence grew, not overnight, but steadily and sustainably. Over time, Jake realized that real wealth wasn't just about money, it was about freedom of choice. He could travel when he wanted, explore new ideas, and dedicate time to projects that excited him. His small-town beginnings no longer defined him. His mind, discipline, and strategy did. He started mentoring others who were struggling financially. He shared his journey openly, teaching the importance of saving, investing in knowledge, and using creativity to generate income. People were amazed that someone who once had so little could think so strategically and build multiple streams of income. Jake also learned to balance ambition with patience. He didn't chase every opportunity. Instead, he focused on projects that aligned with his long-term goals. He built a routine: early mornings for learning, dedicated hours for high-value work, and evenings for reflection and planning. This structure gave him clarity, focus, and unstoppable momentum. His ventures grew from small online gigs into larger projects that brought significant returns. He started using advanced tools and technology to scale his efforts. Automation, digital marketing, and AI-based solutions became part of his daily workflow. Each new skill he mastered multiplied his potential earnings and efficiency. Despite all the success, Jake never forgot his roots. He remembered the long nights of struggle, the tiny savings, and the determination that pushed him forward. This perspective kept him humble and grounded, while also motivating him to keep growing. He learned that wealth without purpose is meaningless, and so he focused on creating value for others through his work. Jake's life became an example of how discipline, intelligence, and perseverance can transform anyone's circumstances. He became financially independent, mentally strong, and emotionally resilient. From a boy who once counted pennies, he evolved into a man who counted opportunities, strategies, and successes. As his reputation grew, so did the scale of his projects. Major clients sought his expertise, and he was able to take on ventures that required not only skill but vision. Every decision he made was informed, strategic, and calculated, never impulsive. By consistently applying his mind and leveraging small savings and resources, Jake built an empire from scratch. But the most important transformation wasn't just in his bank account. It was in his mindset. Jake had developed the mindset of a winner. One who sees opportunity where others see scarcity, who values knowledge over luck, and who understands that consistent action, combined with intelligent planning, will always win in the long run. Jake had transformed completely, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally. Every challenge he once feared became a stepping stone. He understood that failure wasn't the opposite of success, it was part of the journey. Each small setback taught him something valuable, and he applied those lessons meticulously. With growing confidence, Jake began exploring investments beyond his online ventures. He researched stocks, digital products, and even small real estate opportunities. Every investment was calculated. He never rushed. He analyzed trends, learned from experts, and gradually diversified his income streams. What had started as a few saved dollars turned into multiple sources of reliable income. People around Jake started noticing the change. Friends who once doubted him asked for advice. Strangers were inspired by his story. But Jake remained humble, knowing that wealth alone is not success. Real success, he realized, comes from impact, helping others, sharing knowledge, and creating opportunities for those who are struggling. Even with his newfound wealth, Jake stayed disciplined. He maintained his daily routine, continued learning, and remained frugal in areas that didn't matter. His lifestyle was balanced, practical, and focused on growth. He avoided the traps of instant gratification that many others fell into, knowing that every wise choice compounded over time. Soon, Jake's story became a model for others. Young people in his town and even across the country followed his methods, saving diligently, investing in knowledge, using creativity, and thinking strategically. Jake had become proof that anyone, regardless of their background, could rise from poverty to financial independence by using their mind effectively. By the time Jake reached his mid-20s, he was no longer the boy struggling to make ends meet. He had a thriving business, multiple income streams, and a network of mentors, clients, and peers who respected his skills and vision. But more importantly, he had developed a mindset that could never be shaken, one built on discipline, intelligence, and perseverance. Jake's journey shows that wealth is not about luck, inheritance, or shortcuts. It is about vision, effort, and the relentless pursuit of improvement. From a poor boy counting pennies to a successful, wealthy, and respected entrepreneur, Jake's story is a testament to what the human mind can achieve when combined with determination, patience, and smart decision-making. Even now, Jake continues to grow. He experiments with new ventures, explores emerging technologies, and shares his journey to inspire others. His life is proof that anyone can rise above circumstances, create opportunities, and achieve extraordinary success, simply by using their mind, saving wisely, and never giving up. Jake didn't stop at personal success. He knew that real wealth included the power to make a difference. He began mentoring young people in his neighborhood, showing them that no matter how little they start with, smart decisions, consistent saving, and creative thinking could transform their lives. He taught them how to identify opportunities, leverage skills, and approach challenges with a solution-oriented mindset. He also realized that knowledge multiplies when shared. Jake started creating small online courses, writing guides, and sharing tips about freelancing, digital entrepreneurship, and financial literacy. His influence began to grow beyond his local community. People from different states, even different countries, followed his journey, eager to learn from his methods. As Jake's ventures expanded, he embraced technology more than ever. He used AI tools to optimize his projects, automated repetitive tasks, and scaled his businesses efficiently. Each tool he adopted amplified his productivity, freeing up time for creative thinking and strategy. What once required months of manual effort now could be done in days, leaving him room to innovate further. Even with all this growth, Jake never lost his humble mindset. He remembered every dollar he had saved, every failure he had turned into a lesson, and every sleepless night he spent figuring out his next move. This humility kept him grounded and focused, preventing arrogance or complacency from creeping in. The real magic, Jake discovered, was in thinking long-term. While others chased short-term gains or instant gratification, he planned years ahead. Every decision, whether it was a financial move, a new venture, or a personal choice, was aligned with his vision of sustainable success. His patience and discipline paid off exponentially. By his late 20s, Jake had achieved financial independence that most people only dream about. But his greatest reward wasn't the money. It was the freedom, confidence, and ability to impact lives positively. He had become an example of what is possible when intelligence, strategy, and persistence combine. Jake's journey proved a timeless lesson. No matter where you start, no matter how little you have, the power of your mind, combined with consistent effort, smart saving, and continuous learning, can create extraordinary results. From struggling with pennies to mastering wealth, Jake's story shows that success is built, not given, and the most valuable currency is the one invested in yourself. After years of relentless effort, Jake finally reached a point where his life had completely transformed. The boy who once counted every penny to survive was now living a life of abundance, not only financially but also in terms of knowledge, relationships, and influence. The small apartment he grew up in was replaced by a spacious home filled with books, technology, and reminders of his journey. Every corner of that home told a story of perseverance, smart thinking, and the power of using one's mind to create wealth. Jake often reflected on the long nights when he had almost given up. He remembered the moments of doubt, the people who laughed at his ambition, and the countless failures that tested his spirit. Yet, each setback had taught him a lesson, and each lesson had become a stepping stone. He realized that success is rarely a straight path. It is a series of smart choices, disciplined actions, and unwavering focus over time. By now, Jake had not only secured his own financial future, but also created opportunities for others. He had developed multiple streams of income, digital services, automated online businesses, strategic investments, and mentorship programs. Each venture reflected his intelligence, discipline, and creativity. What once seemed impossible had become a structured system that generated wealth continuously, even while he slept. More importantly, Jake's journey had given him clarity about life. Money was no longer the ultimate goal, it was a tool. A tool to explore passions, help others, and create a lasting impact. He had learned that the mind is the most powerful asset anyone can have, far more valuable than any sum of money. The discipline to save, the courage to take calculated risks, and the patience to wait for results had turned him into a master of his destiny. One evening, Jake sat in his study, looking out the window at the city lights. He thought about the boy he had once been, struggling to make ends meet, uncertain of the future, and yet full of dreams. He smiled, knowing that dreams alone are not enough. They must be combined with action, knowledge, and resilience. Every lesson he had learned had been hard-earned, but it had shaped him into a man who could face any challenge with confidence. Jake knew that the journey was not just about personal wealth, it was about growth, influence, and legacy. He began writing down his experiences, creating guides, and recording motivational talks. He wanted others to see that no matter how humble their beginnings, they could achieve greatness by using their mind, saving wisely, and consistently applying themselves. His story became a beacon of hope for countless people who felt trapped by circumstances. Friends and family marveled at his transformation. The boy who once avoided spending a single dollar frivolously was now mentoring young entrepreneurs, guiding startups, and sharing insights that could change lives. Jake had become more than wealthy. He had become a thought leader, a symbol of smart strategy, discipline, and relentless perseverance. Yet, Jake remained grounded. Despite the luxury and recognition, he never forgot the small steps that had brought him here. The odd jobs, the tiny savings, the early mornings spent learning, all of it had been essential. He knew that without discipline and a growth-oriented mindset, wealth could easily be lost. This understanding kept him humble, focused, and determined to keep improving. He also learned the importance of giving back. Jake established scholarships, funded small community projects, and mentored ambitious youth who reminded him of his younger self. The joy he felt in empowering others was incomparable to any material reward. He realized that true success is measured not just by what you achieve, but by how you uplift others along the way. As years passed, Jake's life continued to expand in unexpected ways. Opportunities appeared that he hadn't even imagined. Partnerships with innovative companies, invitations to speak at conferences, and collaborations with global entrepreneurs. Each step reinforced a crucial lesson. The mind, when disciplined and focused, can create possibilities that exceed imagination. Despite all the achievements, Jake maintained a daily routine that had become his backbone. He started each day with reflection and planning, reviewed his goals regularly, and dedicated time to learning new skills. He continued to save and invest intelligently, never taking his wealth for granted. The consistency that had driven his early years remained the secret to sustaining and growing his success. The final transformation was not only in his bank account, but in his character. Jake became a man of wisdom, vision, and influence. He understood the power of delayed gratification, strategic thinking, and relentless effort. He had become a living example of how anyone, regardless of background, could achieve extraordinary results by using their mind, staying disciplined, and seizing opportunities wisely. In the end, Jake's story is a timeless lesson for everyone. It doesn't matter where you start or how limited your resources seem. What matters is the mindset you cultivate, the knowledge you acquire, and the discipline you maintain. By saving consistently, learning relentlessly, Thinking creatively and applying yourself with focus, you can transform your life completely. From a boy counting pennies in a small town to a man building wealth, freedom, and influence, Jake's journey is a testament to the power of human potential. He proved that greatness is not reserved for the lucky or privileged. It belongs to those who dare to dream, act intelligently, and persist despite challenges. Jake's legacy is now not just financial but inspirational. He shows the world that mind over circumstance is the ultimate tool for success. His life stands as a VIP example for anyone willing to commit, learn, and take action. And as he looks toward the future, Jake knows that the journey never truly ends. There will always be new skills to learn, new opportunities to explore, and new lives to impact. But one thing is certain. The boy who once struggled now stands as proof that discipline, intelligence, and perseverance can turn any dream into reality.